We'll start with David Lake at Inside the U. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to ask you, your impressions about UNC's defense from a personnel standpoint and then, I guess, a scheme standpoint with the fronts and coverages they throw at you.
Yeah, they do a good job of being very multiple in their fronts. I think they're very active. They play hard. They play like I think all defensive coaches want guys to play. They run hard to the ball. They give great effort. I think they've got some long guys at corner that play big. I think obviously they've got the Fox kid on the edge is really good. Their two linebackers are very active, experienced guys. I mean, you can tell that second year in a system, they feel good about what they're doing. And I know like anybody, they've had their ups and downs this year, but you look even in the Notre Dame game, how they were able to affect a really good offense. We're going to have to play really well.
I know it's kind of a weird question, but when you're facing against a team that has a good offense, does that change your approach at all as a play caller, knowing you're going to have to score a lot of points most likely?
Not really, because we kind of have the same mindset every game. We're never kind of playing to, game manage or anything. That's just not our style anyways. I think you get into games sometimes, and the Pitt game this year, for example, and your defense is playing extremely well, then your job is just to score and not do things to get you beat. And so sometimes you adjust in game a little bit, but I don't think you can really change who you are. I mean, they obviously have an explosive offense and they have a very good defense, and we just got to go out and play well. And you can't press or worry about those things and do stuff out of character. You just got to go be yourself and try to execute and score enough points.
Coach, we've got Manny Navarro from The Athletic next. Manny, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Lashlee, congrats on the win on Saturday.
Hey,
so I asked Coach about Tyler Van Dyke just because everybody's always looking at the quarterback position, wondering how guys are sort of coming along. And I know he's been out since I think the Virginia game or whatever it is. What have you kind of had him doing while he's been out? Has he just been studying film? Coach mentioned he was back on the sideline Saturday. I guess just how's he sort of coming along?
Tyler's been great, and Tyler's handled himself very well, for a freshman academically and what we're doing, and had a lot of, as many people have in 2020, crazy things, ups and downs, stuff you have to deal with. He's handled it all like not like a true freshman. Great attitude, great mindset. We're excited that things are looking better for him, and but he's done good. I mean, he's been involved when he can't be here or he is here, whatever. He's involved in Zoom and just like all the other guys. And we're just making the most of it. But we're excited about Tyler, not only the rest of this year, but the future. And he's done great.
And then I guess just overall, you were able to get some of the backups in at quarterback. I know there's been a lot of tight games, so you need Derek to go the distance. But just to get Nkosi and Peyton in there, and just what you thought of how they handled those moments.
Yeah, it was good to get him in there, with a full quarter of football left, and where you're not just kind of running the clock out and totally taking a knee, and let him, run some plays. I thought Kosi came in first play, made a nice throw to Don, and it was good. It was just good to see him in kind of a real game situation a little bit, and obviously for Peyton to get in and play, that was good too. The best thing is we got to play everybody that traveled. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that didn't, weren't with us that we'd love to have got in as well. But the way last week went, all the guys that were there got to play and contribute, and I think that was good, because your point is well taken. We haven't had many of those games. They've all kind of come down to the wire, so it was good to get those guys in.
Thanks.
Coach, we've got David Furones from the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, sticking with quarterbacks, but of I guess even younger variety, with the early signing period just over a week away, your confidence level, I know you can't name any names, but that you will end up with one in this class by early signing date.
Yeah, obviously, we can't talk about recruits or anything like that. I mean, there's an early signing period, there's a late signing period, just like every other year. And so we feel really good about the guys we currently have playing the Miami Hurricanes, and we're still trying to add to the pieces to that class, and we'll continue to do that both, in this early signing period and in the late signing period. So feel good about where we are, both on our roster and who we're bringing in, and we'll continue to try to fill all those needs.
And the other question I had for you, before Jalen got hurt, obviously he started it in this game. Just what was your vision with everyone, if everyone would have been healthy for carry distribution on Saturday night?
I don't know if there's a a number, but Jalen and Don both practiced extremely well last week. It's kind of the first time in a while that they've both been somewhat full go at the same time, and so we wanted to. I think Jalen earned that opportunity, and I thought it's unfortunate what happened. He get dinged up, kind of similar to what happened to Don at North Carolina State. Started the game and then just after 3 carries, I think, was kind of dinged up, and hopefully we'll get Jalen back. And I thought Don came in and did some really good stuff, and then it was good to see Cam come in and be the experienced guy that I think we all know he can be. And I thought all the guys that were able to play did a good job, and it's unfortunate Jalen wasn't able to get more carries.
Coach, got time for a few more. We're going to Barry Jackson at the Miami Herald. Barry, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hi, Rhett. I'm curious what you thought of Will Mallory's development this year. How is he now compared to the player you saw when you arrived?
I think Will's a really good football player, and we're really excited. It was exciting, on Saturday night. I think that's the first time since the beginning of the Louisville game that we felt like, Brevin and Will were as close to 100% at the same time. Will got nicked up in the Louisville game, and it carried over into Florida State, and then Brevin got hurt against Clemson, and it's just kind of even Virginia Tech. We had them both, but Brevin didn't get to practice till the day before the game, and so to have those two guys as healthy as they've been, you try to find the positives in scenarios. When we had those 3 weeks off, and we weren't able to do football for 2 weeks, that helped guys like Will and kind of heal up. He'd been playing kind of beat up and playing really well, and having both those guys, I think, is a big deal for us. I know he only had the 1 catch, but it was a big one. And he does a lot of things sometimes that aren't seen maybe in the stat sheet. And had a couple opportunities. We were trying to get him the ball, but they took him away, and the ball went to someone else. But I think Will has done a really good job this year, exceeded expectations. And I still think there's you're going to see a lot more out of him before it's all said and done.
Coach, we're going to go to Gary Furman at Canesport. Gary, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett, how are you?
Hey, Gary.
You've had so many different guys at different points of the season who have emerged as guys capable of making plays for you. You essentially have 4 running backs if you include De'Eric in that total. Mike Harley was this little hidden gem over here on a shelf to the side, and then suddenly discovered him in the middle of the season, and he's obviously been unbelievable since. You've got 2 tight ends that are capable of doing big things in any game. Talk about, like, as the coordinator, managing all of that. And obviously Cam Harris comes out and gets 100 yards this week. He's thinking he wants to do the same thing next week, but it may or may not work out that way. And Don Chaney seems to maximize every touch he gets, might be the most consistent guy in your whole offense, potentially, at least from an outside point of view. Talk about managing that as the coordinator and keeping everybody happy and engaged.
Well, I think there's a couple things. You want all your guys to have that mindset you talked about Cam having, that they want to come out and have a big game every week. There's nothing wrong with that. You want them to have that mindset. I think the best thing is we got guys that play for each other and play together. So we're not managing egos. We're not managing selfish people that want to get theirs. They want to win, and they want us to score points. And they know sometimes one of the running backs may be a hot hand. They know at receiver, 1 week it may be Mike, 1 week it may be D, 1 week it may be Brevin, Will, whoever, Pope, and it doesn't really matter. And so, you can have, I'd say this year, whether it be with just all the COVID stuff or injuries, it's kind of usually worked itself out because we very rarely had all of them at the same time. But I think you just worry about trying to call good football plays and put people in position within the system where it fits them and what they do well. But like we had a 3rd down and 12 the other night, and we had a play designed to get Will in a matchup, and they doubled him, and Mike Harley catches across for 17 yards. That's the way it's designed to work. And when you're not trying to force feed the ball to anybody, and you got guys that they want the ball, they want to score, they want theirs, but when they're doing what it takes for the team to win, and that's what's important, and you don't as a coordinator have to worry about making everybody happy. We're not trying to make everybody happy here. We're trying to win games. And usually when you win, and the team succeeds, the individuals succeed. The individual success come, the individual accolades come. And those guys have really bought into that. Whereas in maybe some cases you could give one guy every single carry and he's going to rush for 1,400 yards. Instead, you divide it up, like you said, among 3 or 4, or same thing at receiver. You may not have one guy with 80 to 100 catches, but you got a lot of guys with catches. And that's just kind of been what we thought our MO would be this year. And it kind of has been that way. And that's been good, given the standpoint that each week you never really know who you're going to have.
And as an extension of that, when a defense has to prepare for you, I imagine it really makes them hard to zero in on any one thing. The way you've been approaching offense this whole year, it's not like you could say, oh, we're going to take away the running game, or we're going to take away the passing game, or we're going to take away Harley, or we're going to take away Cam. You really can't really do that the way you guys are playing offense this year.
That's the hope. When you're balanced and you're spreading the ball around, that's what you hope. And it allows you to maybe take more of what the defense is giving you, and just, if you're good enough, you can take what they're giving you and you don't have any issues, as opposed to them kind of dictating to you what you have to try to accomplish. Absolutely.
Coach, last one for you is David Wilson from the Miami Herald. David, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett. Just curious what you saw from Navon getting out there for the first time. I know Jakai's, I guess, banged up, still being evaluated. But do you view Navon as a guy who could potentially start for you down the stretch here, or is he still in a spot where you're kind of managing his snaps and his playing time?
I'd say in this year, everybody's available and every option's possible. I think it was pretty cool. I wasn't here obviously a year ago, but to know that's the same field I think he suffered his injury on a year ago, and that to kind of be the same field, he was able to come back, maybe a little bitty kind of silver lining there. But, I think Jakai, we're optimistic Jakai's okay as well. But it was one of those things that, nicks and bruises happen in games, and having a guy like Vaughn cleared and ready to go with experience, we felt comfortable putting him in there and not having to maybe put any more strain on Jakai. And, our second touchdown, I think the touchdown run for Cam, they blitzed the linebacker right into the hole, and Vaughn smacked him, and the hole was, twice as big all of a sudden. So it was good to have him out there. It was good for him, I think, from a confidence standpoint, to get out there. And, because, yes, we're not going to need him, even next year, but we're going to need him down the stretch, I would think.
And then just offensive line, it's the last couple of years here, it's been a spot where there's not been necessarily a ton of depth, and guys maybe having to play before they're ready. Kind of all of a sudden you have a lot of guys between Navon and Jakai, and Usman's obviously started games, and John Campbell, and even Isaiah Walker coming in next year, and Jalen. Just how good do you kind of feel about the depth at that position, and looking ahead, I guess, to next year, just kind of the number of options and that competition?
Yeah, I think kind of this year has kind of necessitated that you have to be ready to play a lot of guys and different mixes and matches. On one hand, you like your O-line to, in a perfect world, have continuity and not have to mix and match as much. But there's been good competition. There's been guys needed to step up. They have. I think that's a big testament to Coach Justice, to those guys. Will definitely help us down the road and next year especially. I just think you look at the O-line's improvement as the year goes on, especially in a year like this when, again, you may have different guys at this position or that position each week. And, in a game where relatively with the same defensive players and defensive ends, I think last year there was 9 sacks. The other night, the starting O-line didn't give up a single sack. I know we had one late. I just felt like, that's just an example of the progress they're making. And I think that's, to your point, the depth that we've been able to create this year, kind of out of necessity, helps us down the stretch when weird things happen, but also next year is really going to help us hopefully take that next jump.